Yeah, trust your team to true success. I have ended up really feeling like this is one of the key levers we need to pull in raising young people and educating young people. Very much inspired by my work and my experience as a father. So, yes, to take this essential leap of faith in parenting to effortlessly achieve ultimate results with your child in and out of school. My goal, really, for tonight is to encourage you to take this leap of faith. I do feel like it's quite a transition from how we're parenting currently. I do feel like it takes trust, which is just an endless teaching and learning for anyone exploring it in relationship with children or with anything really. Yes, I want the results of this to be that you can see the fork in the road, or the two ways you can go in any given circumstance to trust your child, to encourage you into win-win parenting. So, there's a lot of self-defeating parenting, I would say, these days, where we're efforting a great deal, stressing, struggling, to try and get a result with our children, when really we need to leave them to it and kick back and stop getting in the way, and over parenting, helicoptering, over schooling. And the results, I hope, to be harmonization of your relationships. This is the territory I've ended up going into as a parent coach, and a teen mentor. So my background's in tuition, and now I run a program that combines tuition, parent coaching, mindset coaching, and fundamentally relationship-based learning with young people. Yes, so harmonizing and preserving our relationships. Obviously, in the teen years, a lot can come up. There's plenty of challenge there, and there's plenty of potential for conflict, and of whatever nature. Yeah, and for them, our young people, our children, to live lives of ease and benefit. Yeah, to take all that pressure off them that can be beyond them in this day and age, not least because of how we're acting as parents sometimes. But all of our systems can pile the pressure on our young people, and it doesn't help them in any way. Yes, so my name is Henry Dingle. I am a teen mentor and parent coach. I've been doing this for 20 years. In various different forms. About 5 years ago, I co-founded a school with my wife, who's on the webinar tonight and helps me with this business, the Young Fire Academy. We work together. So we're both a pair of very committed educationalists. Her name's Samantha. I'm a father of two, so we have two children who are 9 and 8. And this is my passion area, just empowerment of young people, education, and teenagers specifically. So the format for tonight, first of all, it's just going to be a quick run through who this is for and what this leap of faith entails, so you can decide whether you're up for it or not. And then we're going to go into the old ways, some of the old ways. Now, this can make quite bruising reading, so I do warn you in advance. I mean, it's just to flag up ways that we have been parented maybe, and ways that are kind of rooted into our systems, just cycles that have played out for too long. So this is kind of why it is a leap of faith in many ways, because we need to break with the old and welcome in the new. And that takes, in my opinion, training and community and support, and really some pretty steadfast commitment to this cause. So then I will go into the 3 proven ways. Now, these are 3 proven ways that they're proven by my experience. So I've worked with many parents over the last 5 years, very closely in the last 2 or 3, and seen some incredible results through this commitment to trust and training up parents in trust. I did a trust challenge week 2 or 3 months ago. A full week of live streams. Some of those parents are on the call tonight, which is awesome. And it was completely profound, just the results there and then in that week, and ongoingly, because we're in touch, many of us now, week to week. So it's been really incredible to see what the effect is of taking this leap. Then I will introduce you a bit to the Young Fire Academy, which is the platform that my wife and I run, offering support and training to young people and parents. And then I hope we'll have time for some Q&A. So let's do it. Let's get in. All right. So who this is for? this is for parents who really do want a profound change. You know, if you're coming up against difficulties, and I imagine all of us are, you know, and I'm sure that's what's brought you to the webinar in part as well. Even if in many ways everything's going great, you know, there's something or many things that, you know, you want to change in the way you relate to your own children. So we want profound change. We don't expect a quick and easy fix. It isn't going to be like, wow, you know, 1 hour and then 1 hour with me and then it's all done. It takes showing up, like, you know, constantly and holding ourselves to account and really deepening these lessons and this commitment. And then the next point immediately contradicts that, because we also kind of want immediate results. We want to know, like, is this going to work? And like I say, in the trust challenge, that was the case, you know, really just a day or two. Some of the tips in this webinar are really, really potent tools. You know, they are real game changers for shifting your relationship with your child where it needs shifting and empowering, handing over responsibility and empowering autonomy. So yeah, quick results, and then, you know, we're in it for the long haul. So this is not something that's gonna it's never ending, really, this commitment to trust and love and respect and honoring of our children. So yes, you've got to be willing to stay committed and keep the faith. And yeah, this last line looks a bit patronizing. Understand the power, impact, and responsibility of parenthood. What I mean by that is the great potential we have just as parents to impact our children. That's an obvious thing to say, but, you know, with our schooling system the way it is, with our governments the way they are, I see so much empowerment for families and parents that really have nothing to do with what the government might be deciding, or nothing to do with an education system which you may well not approve of. So, you know, the home is the greatest predictor of academic success, first of all, which is a troubling statistic in many ways for those less fortunate, but it shows the power that we have as parents to impact our children in their education and in their success in that way. And of course, just yeah, the home is just, yeah, so powerful. This relationship that we have, this responsibility we have, is so profound. Yeah, and the impact we can have on our children obviously is huge. So it's a weighty responsibility. So yeah, these are the kind of challenges that we're facing. You know, these are the ones that I'm used to with the parents that I'm in touch with, and these are everything in this webinar I can relate to in my own experience, even with younger children. So yeah, teens showing no motivation or drive in or out of school. And, you know, for me, they're sort of synonymous. I mean, or at least I think of them together. I'm an academic tutor, but I really think of motivation and drive as a general kind of thing. There isn't a priority list there where it's better that it's in school. I'm really interested with teenagers in just drive in general, like wherever that might be, in school, out of school. If someone's really got it going on out of school, then I don't think there's much of a problem. But often they can come together, that there isn't so much motivational drive in either. Not fulfilling their potential, so kind of doing nothing. Yeah, I mean, there are many, especially with technology. I'm not going to veer off into gaming too much tonight, but it's a huge topic. It's a massive topic, and probably the next webinar will be just on that topic, just on gaming and technology and what we do with that as parents. But yeah, just avoiding responsibility, really not taking responsibility for schoolwork or self-development. Now, this is where I get excited or worried, or whichever way you want to put it, when I meet someone who just isn't, you know, and this can often be the case, not really developing themselves in the years like 14 to 24. You know, that's the time to really play with your own capabilities, to really train up, to really get skilled, and to get excited about who you are and what you can do. And of course, technology and gaming can eat into a lot of that time and can be part of it as well. It can be part of your self-development. So I'm going to move on from that topic, but I can't wait to get into that in detail in a future webinar. Yeah, and so then for us as parents, exhaustion, us getting exhausted through nagging, micromanaging, coercion, which means kind of force, trying to force our children. You know, it's a very heavy word, but it can mean even just lightly, you know, trying to get a result, trying to push through for a result. So yeah, if you're here on this webinar, I'm sure you'll have experienced that, our tendency to nag and to try and control and micromanage, and to try and just push our children really into doing things that we think are best for them, leading to conflict, arguments and resentment and pushback. Yeah, I mean, our children in many ways have been sent to educate us. You know, they will find what we need to be educated in, and they will show it to us. So I absolutely love this about children and parenthood, that it's inevitable. You know, our children are they're there to teach us. So the pushback, you know, they will tell us. They will tell us when we've been overbearing or over coercive, you know, in their own ways. You know, all children are different, but in general, there's a lot of lessons, there's a lot of things they're telling us, which we often choose not to listen to, or we don't think it's appropriate, or we don't want to follow their lead. And so in some ways, this webinar is also an invitation really to listen to what's being asked and see as much as possible if we can honor that. If all of this is happening and there is this conflict, then the ultimate price then is the distance and the avoidance in our relationships with each other, you know, just teens and parents growing apart. And yeah, you'll see later on there's some amazing testimonials of parents who've really, in their own words, got their relationship back. So, you know, this is also part of the work alongside maths, GCSE preparation and whatever. But yeah, you know, the main one is getting their relationship back, and what that does as a foundation for motivation in general and academic achievement as well. Yeah. All right, this is what we want. We want purposeful, meaningfully active young people, you know, young children who are engaged in life, to be achieving or excelling or just enjoying. You know, like I often say with the students I work with, you know, if you're not enjoying doing your studies, then you're not really doing it right, you know. And I mean that even for students that are not a great fit for academic life at all, but still, you know, the enjoyment is kind of an essential part of it. Some way of just giving yourself to it, getting what's on offer there. Yeah, we want to also be seeing them doing that and being excited by what they're engaged in, what they're active in, and excited about life in general. Obviously, they need to be maturing, and you know, we want them to be stepping up and not avoiding the challenge or not avoiding responsibility for their own lives, you know, their own future. It needs to start to feel like theirs. We need to hand it over to them so that they yeah, they know that it is their life. It's not our life to kind of make them get loads of GCSEs or whatever it might be. That needs to be up to them, and the more they do it like that, the better for their results and for the real learning that's going on there anyway, which is self-direction and self-leadership. So yeah, taking ownership. We want to be seeing them taking it on for themselves and leaving them to it. You know, we want to be like extracting ourselves from that picture, just seeing them do something that we didn't even expect them to do, you know, letting them become who they really are, not someone who's just in the channels that we've laid for them. So like really anything's possible. I really think this is also a key thing for this day and age, for harmonious families, and, you know, who knows, for saving the world. You know, for young people to really be discovering themselves for who they are, not what we are telling them they should be, or not what we're thinking that they are. As their parents, we might well think we know, but we need to leave them to it and see if that's true. Yes, harmonious, cooperative relationship with them. So yeah, this is the flip side of conflict, like really to be working together, you know, for their future, and to be able to support them, to be active in that conversation with them and that emotional support during these difficult years, you know, challenging years, certainly, you know, being an adolescent, coming out into the world and trying to find your place in it. Yeah. Close, intimate, fun, warm, open, loving relationship. Yeah. All right, so this is who it's not for. These are things that I would put my own hand up for in my own parenting. Every single one of them, I felt the pull or the inclination or some sense of like wanting to do this. These are the kind of quick, I wouldn't say easy, but they're the quick fixes. You know, there are kind of instinctive, reactive ways of trying to parent. They're the old ways. These are the old ways. Control, coercion, force, which is also is reinforced by our schooling system, where there's very little choice, generally. Bullying, intimidating, dominating. I mean, I know as a male, that's definitely something, power over is something that I've really felt as a parent when my children are not doing what I think they should be doing or what I'm asking them to do. And those have been very very humbling experiences where I've just gone, wow, I never ever want a parent like that again. So that's also been part of my inspiration and my own personal journey, to really think like, wow, how do I want to show up there? Like, how do I want to really make sure I never speak to my child or handle them when they were very young, handling them roughly or whatever it is. They're like 2 or 3 experiences in my life where I never ever want to go back there again. And luckily I haven't. So that's been great. Bribing, rewards, and emotional blackmail. Also ways of riding kind of roughshod over their intrinsic motivation, to be bribing, and reward systems are everywhere. But yes, a big question mark for me about the long-term results of that approach. And these are the things, just to wheel them out there. Blaming, blaming our children, shaming them, judging them, antagonizing them, belittling, criticizing, eye rolling. Yeah, I mean, just these ways, even speaking about our children to friends, even just speaking about them in these kinds of ways, I think is, where we're just kind of offloading as parents in a way that we hope will be supportive. But I wish myself, and I wish for others, to just hold my children forever in the highest regard, and to speak about them like that, and to understand the challenges that they're facing, and to know that they're not worthy of blame or shame or judgment, or and then what happens when we parent like this? It feels awful. It's a nightmare. I've talked about that already. In a way, you come reeling away from an encounter where you've just parented in exactly the way you don't ever want to parent again. And it produces terrible short-term and long-term results. It all gets computed. Unfortunately, we can make up for it, but it all goes into a child's experience. And this is, younger children maybe, but also as the stakes get higher when they're definitely teenagers too. And then we end up standing directly in the way of our child's own true potential. So yeah, when we're forcing them, or we're controlling, coercing, it creates a lot of unnecessary noise and friction with the child's own, I don't want to say pure, but I'll say it for the sake of it, yeah, like their pure journey, their pure self. Yeah. And the results are, we get resistance, we get rebellion, disempowerment for them, loss of confidence in them. These are the things that I especially want to address when I'm working with a young person and their parents. Loss of confidence, demotivation, avoiding challenges. A lot of this, again, I don't want to get stuck back into gaming and technology, but a lot of that is an avoidance of, it's a lack of confidence in knowing what else to do with themselves in some ways. And it's an avoidance of things that are maybe more challenging. It's an easy, comfortable place to be, low stakes, and just readily available, 24/7. So yeah, fear of failure, massive problem, I would say, for our society, that currently our young people really, don't have much robustness in terms of failing and failure. And feel like, it should never happen, kind of thing. This has been around for a while, but it's very, very prevalent now. And it provokes aimlessness and low self-worth in them. Okay, great. There we go. Okay, let's do this. This is the upside. I needed to get through that though, but I wanted to give the context for kind of what I see. And I'm sure, or at least I hope you can all relate. Okay, so the first step is, harmonizing relationship. In some ways, if you're at a bridge where you've come to this webinar because you're thinking, wow, I need something, I need some other platform, or I need some kind of help to empower this relationship, or to empower this person to help support this child, this particular child, or all of your children. First of all, let's make this step to harmonize our relationship with them. If there is some damage that's been done, or we need to kind of make a break from the past, let's do that. So, you know, it starts with also a lot of self-love. And, you know, in the parenting role, wow, we are just warriors, for want of a better word. It's a terrible word, but, you know, we're just all parents. I just think we're amazing. I know we all give absolutely everything to the role. And so, you know, first of all, let's start with self-love before we get into taking responsibility for things that we've done wrong. But just be aware of your greatness as a parent, the many, many things. And I've been through this with many parents who might not have thought there'd be so many things. They're more aware of the negatives. Be aware of just like right now, be aware of like where you're smashing it, where you've always been very strong. And sometimes other people will reflect this to you or tell you about this, or you might just be in the background of your mind somewhere aware of the fact that, you know, your children are all kind, you know, that they're like, it's something, some results that you've got in your children that you take for granted. And then acknowledge your parenting shortcomings, like the areas where you really feel like, wow, I've operated maybe from some of those old ways, and you know, my children have computed that, in my way of saying it. They've taken all that in, and that is there in our relationship in some ways, and that is partly playing out now in their teenage years with their demotivation, avoidance of responsibility, rebellion, or whatever towards us, whatever it might be. You know, if there's something there that you feel like has come a bit from you, then great. This is part of it, harmonizing relationship. And it can be directly apologizing. So this is what we did in the Trust Challenge week, and the Trust Challenge is something that's available through the Young Fire Academy. So that's a week's immersion in this, which I would love any of you to do. And again, if you book in for a call with me at the end of this, we'll have 20-minute calls. You can book in just to meet me and just to chat about any way I could help. Then that would be one option. And yeah, we had this where, you know, directly apologizing, role modeling, apologizing, giving an apology, and also, of course, training our children up to be able to receive apology. And yeah, that has achieved immediate openness, you know, in the right kind of way, with a child to realize this is like a line in the sand, or a line in time that is, you know, we're no longer going to show up like that. We're going to reveal our own vulnerability and power in doing that. You know, to just show that we're not the one with all the answers, or we're not the one who always gets everything right, or anything like that. So if that's something that you haven't yet done with your children, that could be a great lever to pull if you're needing to get on the same page with them, to apologize about anything that comes to mind from your experience together as a family. Rebuilding the trust if necessary. So yeah, this is sometimes, yeah, what's needed is to actively rebuild trust. Yeah, and there's more here. So yeah, these are some of the things that I've just kind of stumbled across that are, you know, some of them recommended by friends, but these have produced powerful results in parents that I've worked with. So booking in regular fun times, and the suggestion actually is to do it weekly date nights. Now listen, date nights, not the phrase for teenagers, it's like massive on the cringe factor, but it gets the point across to parents. It's a date night with your child. So, you know, it can be called anything, your night together, whatever it is, just a way of having fun with your child. And the point is that you ask them what they would most like to do with you. It could be anything. It could be you know, going and getting something to eat, or watching a movie, or anything. Maybe they want a game and they want to invite you to kind of game with them. That's awesome, by the way, for gaming, just to, you know, to be in that space and share that with them. Wow, that helps undemonize it, or just normalize it for everyone. So yeah, but date night, really, that is a huge step forward. Weekly, regular time. Make sure you're having time with your child in exactly the most comfortable space they could possibly want to be in. So that's why it's their choosing what the activity is a platform then for dealing with the heavier stuff, dealing with the kind of career stuff, or the school stuff, or any of the other real triggering things. Have fun together regularly, have time together regularly. surprise them by giving them some new freedom. So, like if you've been holding a strong line on various things and you can't hold it anymore and it's creating a lot of conflict, well, they're telling you what they want. And so in some cases, you can just surprise them by giving them some new freedom, to prove this new era in a way, and to build trust with them, for them to be like, wow, things are changing. That's a concession in a good way, from mom or dad to to just trust me to do whatever this thing is, whatever it is, later bed times or more gaming or whatever it might be, whatever the request is, going out late. Yeah, and make a bold statement in a significant chat. So yeah, this can be a great moment to just go, right, I want to change things. I want to change things in this dynamic. I want to draw a line and move on in a different way, and discussing with them and listing any changes. Now, this is very general, but all I'm wanting is for you to extract what's going to work for you. So I hope you're taking notes or writing down any kind of thoughts that are coming to you so that you can refer back to them after this. Yeah, and invite them to set some of their own rules, standards, and boundaries. Yeah, and ask them, like, what do you think would be a good idea for this boundary, which we're clashing over the whole time? When do you think you should go to bed on a school night? Or when do you think you should do your homework? Or how long do you think you should game for at the weekend, or whatever it is? Invite them in. And I've been consistently blown away by the level of responsibility that even my children, very young, display when you ask them what they think. Wow, the suggestions are often so responsible and sensible. And then, of course, they've designed those rules, and they're way, way more likely to adhere to them and to honor them. Yes. So before we go on to step 2, I wanted to just share about 2 parents who told me after some of these kind of moves in the trust challenge that their teenage boys, 2 of them, told me exactly the same week. They both said their teenage boys 2 or 3 weeks later had started just being more like huggy with them, more close, kind of snuggling up on the sofa for the first time ever. The closeness, the sense of trust and intimacy between them was suddenly, it was unprecedented since they were teenage boys. 2 of them, separate families. And one of them also said that her son had told her that he missed her when she was away for a week, which again was like emotional language and connecting that it was very striking for her to hear him speak like that. So these are the foundations for motivation. I'm coming from an academic tutoring background, but I've dug deeper and deeper and deeper, and in the end we're like harmonizing relationships between parents and children. And then wow, what platform that can then be for the other things we might think we're more worried about. Yeah, is stunning. So that's step 1, harmonizing relationships. And these are the many different ways that you can do that, just to go, okay, enough is enough. I want to relate in a different way, and bring in some of these tools. Okay. Step 2, retire. Yes. All right. Retire from all of the things that aren't serving us. So it's retiring really from self-defeating parenting. So following through on this commitment. If tonight is a moment for you where you can just go, right, I am giving up on these behaviors. Again, write your own list, but here's some examples. Nagging, just the relentless nagging, trying to get them to school on time, even when they're like teenage, packing their bags for them, trying to get them to bed on time. Like this goes on for years and years into the teenage years for many families. So yeah, nagging, micromanaging, these are kind of the petty ways of controlling and coercing. Blaming, criticizing, obviously, yeah. And to hold yourself accountable for this retirement. So like make it definitive. Like I say, have a significant chat where you go, okay, this is going to be it from now on. I'm not going to nag you to whatever it is. Or what would you like me to most back off you around? What boundary do you want to pull down? Ask them, bring them into it, be a team. Ask them for support to help you. Unite as a team for this. Yeah. And ask them to call you out on it if you're doing it again. If you've agreed something, great, work as a team so that it can be harmonious and empowering for both of you. Drop your expectations. Yeah, this is really shocking for some parents. They're like, what? You know, in some ways it feels like drop your aspirations, but it's very different. So, you know, by all means have your own expectations, but that, you know, just don't bring them to them. And just, you know, that they need the freedom to have their own expectations, their own aspirations for themselves. They need the pressure taken off in this day and age so much. Wow. So dropping your expectations and just opening up to whatever's going to happen, you know, whatever will be, whatever they're going to be, they're going to be. You know, we cannot force them, nor should we, because it's founded on, you know, real shifting sands. If we're forcing our children through all the different hoops, then they just have so much less stability and so much less in the foundations of their own intrinsic motivation and drive to draw on when they need it. Let them fail, yes, and fail is in capitals, not because I find that exciting, but because someone told me, a coach friend told me that can stand for first attempt in learning, which I love. So this is just part of embracing failure. Really, you know, we're not good or bad at things. Usually we're inexperienced or experienced. That's another way of framing failure for children and for adults as well. So yeah, step 2, retire. Yeah, be more distant, become more philosophical and detached. If it presses your buttons about what they're doing and your aspirations, expectations, all that kind of stuff for them, where you're like, it's got to be like this, well, just take the sting out of it for yourself and for them, and have them see that you're not triggered by it anymore. You're not going to engage in that anymore. Give them the time, space, and freedom to be able to, yeah, just find their own feet with what they want to do, to find their own commitments, to find their own motivation in school or whatever it is, to find their own activities to choose for themselves. Just, yeah, but, you know, come out of their space, their bubble space in that way, and give yourself a holiday. Yeah, this is what got me so excited about this. It's like, wow, this is like win-win for both sides. I work with teens and parents together, and it's awesome because, you know, the teens, I'm just like giving them complete freedom. I'm telling them actively, I'm going to get your parents off your back, and I'm telling the parents, I'm going to help you retire, you know, so you don't have to, you stop fussing over them. And we're going to have this 3-month period where, you know, I'm in contact with the teen and I'm in contact with you, and it's a safe way of doing it in some ways. But yeah, give yourself a holiday, step back forever from self-defeating parenting. So, you know, with the right support, with the right community, with the right influence, with the right commitment, you know, even just from this webinar, like if you can hold that, you can take this, really is like, wow, okay, I'm giving up the self-defeating. NB, retire does not mean neglect, abandon, rejection, or freezing out cold children, or giving up on them. It's not that at all. You know, the atmosphere of this is not judging and blaming and criticizing, and, you know, we're not going to trust them for 2 weeks and then just blame them for not being able to pick up the ball and run with it. So okay, so step 3, yeah, so first of all, okay, step 1, harmonize relationship. Step 2, retire, like retire. And I hope that just kind of resonates, just that word, with a whole load of things that you know you're still doing, which you could easily stop doing. And then you want to get into this period, like it says here, handover is a process. You want to get into a period of like handing over, you know, it takes time. So yeah, keep the communication channels open about any commitments that you're making. So yeah, step 3, stay close to them, empowerment. You know, we really do want to, most of all, found our kids' motivation, drive, purpose in a loving and close parenting relationship forevermore. And we need to navigate these teenage years effectively to have that. So yeah, keep those communication channels open, and yeah, get into this handover as a process. Like I say, it's not 2 weeks to trust them to be at school on time or do all their homework themselves. It's never going to happen. You know, they're not going to suddenly go from someone who doesn't do homework ever to being, you know, left alone to do it, and they're suddenly going to do it. It's not going to happen. So it's a process of just leaving them to it, you know, sometimes for years, to see, okay, what do they have for this schooling process, or what do they have for this this endeavor of theirs, this hobby of theirs, this passion or skill of theirs? How do we let them just get on with that and like find their own agency in developing that? And yes, we're going to have to be patient, you know, so yet we can get immediate results, things like date night, apologizing, having this significant chat where you're genuinely retiring. These are things that are tried and tested. Okay, so parents have got incredible results with these, and it is blatantly a foundation for the rest of their lives with their children. So, you know, I'm very excited about some of this stuff, but yeah, it's going to take time. So, you know, sometimes it's not going to look how we want it to look. That's the whole point of not forcing, not coercing, not controlling. We don't actually know what's going to happen. We don't actually know what they're going to do. But fundamentally, I just trust children to find that in the right atmosphere, the right environment, the right support from us, especially as parents, going back to the responsibility of the role. That's what we can give them. We can give them that that support and that stability and that foundation. And yes, being available, staying available to help, giving our time. You know, wow, this is hard for parents sometimes, you know, to find time to be with your child, be with that one child. You know, I've got 2 children, others of you have got, you know, lots of children. So, you know, you've got to have that relationship ideally with each of them. And both of you, if you're in a partnership or a marriage, then, you know, each of you having your own special time is really, really healthy and powerful. Yeah. And yeah, checking in regularly with them, but not too regularly. Like no teen, just a warning here, no teen wants to suddenly have their parent come spinning off a call like this or whatever it is, some course, and then start being really weird with them and asking them constantly stuff that they just, you know, they have very little bandwidth for that kind of thing. So it's a check-in just with whatever regularity is going to work for you and them. Around this new phase, this new way of relating. You know, I imagine for everyone there'll be something from this webinar that's like, okay, yeah, that is something I really want to start doing. I want to start operating differently, and I want to hand over. I want to trust. I want to see what happens over years, maybe weeks if you're lucky, you know, with whatever behavior, but probably over years. I want to see what happens when I just leave them to it. Yeah. So checking in about that. How's it going? Do you need any help, or should I just continue to leave you to it? Could someone else help? You know, can I find someone supportive, you know, locally, or, you know, anyone who could help you with this thing to get going? If it's not me, then maybe someone else. And upholding this deep care for them and their future without interfering and meddling. Yeah. So we've got a couple of videos now. I wanted to show you just that I'm not generally making this up, and that this really is something that's been very impactful for parents. This is Miriam. What's your advice for a 14-year-old? It's a parent of a 14-year-old who's like, whoa, GCSEs are coming and it's just not feeling like a fit. What can I do?
I think your word retire, you know, I think step right back away from making it yours and just be there for whatever they decide they want to do with it. I would say, you know, and don't freak out. I mean, not don't freak out, because I freaked out.
Yeah, it's going to happen. Yeah.
Try and find, you know, whatever will support you not to freak out, because it's counterproductive anyway. The more stressed that child, I work with teenagers, and I mean, it's so upsetting to hear how stressed they are and how sick they feel and all the kind of emotional and physical responses they feel to the stress of school. And I think that as parents, we can, the best we can do is provide the space where we're not adding to that. At least we're not adding to that. At the very least, we step back and they know that they're safe to be ambivalent, to kick it. I mean, the number of times Henry supported me to go, okay, let's see, well, let's give him that option of jacking this all in. And you think, okay, oh my God, now we're standing on the top of the diving board. Are we really going to let him jump? And that's the best thing. And anyone who needs some support, Henry is just fantastic at being there, and a massive support for me. So many times when I felt beside myself, a conversation with Henry just brought me back, and I was like, okay, reality check, perspective. Today's just one day, all of that. But yeah, I would say all the things that you've said about letting go, pulling back, retiring, and let it be theirs. It's never going to mean anything to them anyway if it isn't theirs. So yeah,
amazing. I just want to make a quick comment about that video before we watch another one from Robin. Miriam, that she has walked the walk, and so I got a message from her just this morning saying that her son is revising for an exam I think he had today, and just like doing it completely, like capitalized, completely independently, and this is like frankly like unheard of, like a couple of years ago. So the what this does to trust our children in the long term is just so profound. So that's a real has been a huge insight for me to follow families like hers and her son in particular. Yeah, great inspiration. Let's have a look at the other video, and then I'm going to answer some of these questions.
Got to a situation where I think it was just always negative. All my interactions were, I had another email, why haven't you done this? And so he was miserable. I think I was miserable. We were sort of it was all very negative, and it wasn't responding. He wasn't responding either. It wasn't helping. So I think we got into a situation where I think he couldn't see his way out. He sort of, got to a point where he didn't quite know what to do, rather than bury his head and continued in the same way. I couldn't see how to support him, and I was feeling very responsible, to help him sort of catch up again, I guess. So I think that's sort of how it started. I think he was sort of disengaged, lacked any enthusiasm for anything at school, wasn't enjoying anything at all. Wasn't really sort of engaging with his friends that much and doing things outside of home. So we were in quite a bad place. And I think I just needed somebody to support him who wasn't me, who wasn't school, somebody who could, be almost like a friend to him, just so he could actually say, this is what I'm really struggling with, what should I be doing? A mentor as you are. Yeah, so finding you and working with you was the start of that. And we'll probably go on to that, but there's been a huge change. I don't know what happens in those calls, your first call, but it works, it really does. He must have felt that it offered something, because he was quite happy and has always been actually really positive about all of the calls and the times he has kind of chatting with you. It's great, he comes home from school, and instead of me saying, I've got an email from the school, why haven't you handed this in, which is what the past was like. And not saying that's completely gone, that it hasn't, but what I'm now getting is emails saying, he was really engaged, he was really interested, he did a great piece of work. And so to be able to greet him, when he comes home, greet him, that sounds really cheesy, but when he comes home, just to say, oh, well done, I got the email, it's fantastic. And he's really pleased. Things improved so dramatically, him picking up responsibility, for his work. And also other things outside of work. He's now coaching a football team. He's got sort of other things going on. So it just means that our interaction is very different now. It used to be all, I was that mum on his back. I was the one that you're probably going to have to make that call. And I think you probably did early on. Just, it's just now we can kind of talk about something else. We can laugh. It's just really repaired our relationship.
Wow, that's brilliant to hear from those two. And just the getting our relationship back is a narrative that I feel is very poignant for many of us, just at this time, how that can become where we can end up with the pressures of parenting, trying to parent our children and trying to do what's best for them. And yeah, that's just been a very beautiful journey as well, that yeah, that particular family. So yeah, really exciting to see them again. And I wanted to just before we open up for questions, just show you this last slide, which is basically just an introduction to the Young Fire Academy, which is what I run with Sam, my wife. And yeah, there's just a ton of different things that we do in this area. We're not selling anything in this webinar. This is just to kind of give you a heads up on what we do, what I do. So I do the one-to-one teen mentorship and parent coaching. We've also, yeah, we've got an online parent trust challenge course now recorded and edited, which is a really powerful dive into this topic, a step-by-step 5-day, 5-hour kind of course that really will help you deepen this this leap of faith, really, this step, if you want to make that with your relationship with your child. We run parent community and weekly calls, a brilliant parent community, and regular parenting calls, yeah, to support also sometimes the work I do with young people, and also just sometimes not, just for the parents. There's a parent Facebook group, and there'll be many future webinars. So yeah, in a way, the only thing that we're asking for from today is for you to book a 20-minute discovery call with me in the next 4 days. And I would love to just hear what the challenges are, to really see if there's any way that I could help support you. If you're here on this webinar and you do have some of these challenges, what would be the best fit for your family, and whether that's me working with your son or daughter as well, or just more just on the parent side. It would be brilliant for me just to meet you anyway. I would love to meet you all and hear where you're at. As part of my market research, generally to be in touch with parents all the time. So I've opened up my calendar the next 3 or 4 days. You're very welcome to book in for a 20-minute call. Sam, post the link in, and please do book in now. There's a bunch of slots, not an endless amount of slots, but I've just cleared the diary for the next 4 days. So I'd love to meet you all and see if there's any way I can help. And I really only want to work with people who I know I can get results for. So it's got to be a match, and it will really just be a sweet and fun kind of call to meet each other and just see what's possible for you if you're struggling. Yes, Joe, how do we quieten the noise, criticism of others, exes, grandparents, teachers, social workers? Wow. But that's a great question. And yeah, very difficult. This is the context in some ways that some of us have to start to parent differently, to, to go against the grain of what previous generations or society is telling us. And so in a way, I would just say, join our community in some form, because it's much easier together. And yeah, there are easy ways of you doing that, to join regular calls, weekly calls, to be part of one of our Facebook groups. So yeah, Joe, I'd recommend, please do book in a 20-minute call, and let's just see. It's very hard to speak so generally to all of you on this topic, although it's a universal topic. That's why we do the 20-minute discovery calls, is just to see, what's actually going on here. We can have a private space where we can really get to know each other and see what the challenges are, and then I can just see if I can help, or if I can advise in those 20 minutes. I'm so happy to freely advise. It's not a sales call. It's just a way of meeting up and finding out what's going on more specifically. Hope that sort of helps, Joe. But yeah, I really mostly just I hear you, and I really understand what you mean about the judgment of others like that. And yeah. How do we manage when the other parent does not support this approach? Right, similar question. Yeah. Not an easy one to answer. It's very, in a way, that's slightly outside of the dynamic that I'm a specialist in, I would say, is the teenagers and the parents. And so, when you're married partnership or a partnership, and I would just suggest what I kind of suggest with teenagers, which would be communication, just to really voice that and see what solutions you can find. And yeah, in the end, you're both invested in the well-being of the child, and so, you know, having a disparity there or a disagreement or a kind of friction there, obviously the ultimate aim of your parenting is then compromised, because, you know, you're fighting over the one thing you really want to support. So, you know, it's just, I would just suggest communication with your partner. Let me see if I can get through some of these other ones. 2 more minutes. My son's about to take GCSEs in 4 months. Dropped out of school completely due to anxiety. He's anxious about lots of things, but school is the worst trigger. He wants to do the exams and will work at home, but find school triggers anxiety. What do I do? Vivian, book a call with me, 20-minute call. That's a topic I'd love to speak to you about. Anxiety, yeah, is also something I really wish. This is part of relieving our children of the pressures that they're under in this day and age. Yeah, tough situation, but yeah, reach out to me. I'd love to help in any way I can. So many questions, Steph. Yeah, I've done a lot of work on rediscovering my inner self. It's brought up a lot of childhood traumas. Yeah, consciously, I'm happy to say I embrace the majority of time, trust my children, but I can see their struggles are more deep rooted from what I've subconsciously passed on. Does that make sense? Yeah, it does make sense. It's a great share. And yeah, we need to do that work on ourselves, maybe first of all, you know, as teachers, as parents. Yeah. So yeah, it does get transmitted from us to them. And you know, so we at least have the experience to share with them how it is for us. You know, so if we've had similar dynamics to them, we're in a perfect position to support in one way. Laura, what to do about it? And yeah, for all of you, please just book a call. I would love to know. You know, this is kind of ridiculous. I've got 1 minute left. I'm going to try and answer these last 2 questions. So I would love to go into these with you and see what we can find. What to do about a teenager who's obviously depressed but refuses to see a doctor. Not my specialist area, but I would, yeah, communication from you, you know, eventually, again, trust that he or she will eventually want, you know, support. So not to push also for those kinds of solutions, to ask them, what do they see? What do they think? You know, to try in the most gentle way to support without forcing. Ruth, our issue is trying to encourage her daughter to join groups and clubs that she has no experience and she feels quite alone, I think, because her friends are not inquiring or interested in terribly much outside of computer games. Yes, all of you, please just book calls. I'm going to finish on time. I'm not going to go any further. Book a call now. The link's there. Thanks, Lucy. Thanks to all of you. Really, I've really enjoyed this webinar. I've rattled through it, but I would love to meet as many of you as possible on these calls. I want to spend the next 4 days just getting to know you all. It's very open, very free and easy. So if you've got any further questions, please be in touch with me. And I've got a minute over, so I'm going to leave you now. Thank you all so much. See you for the next webinar. We'll be in touch.